General Orin Kray surveyed the battlefield with a knot of anxiety and a growing sense of futility. He had been assigned the critical task of stopping the advance of the Talvax on the capital of the Xerian homeworld, following the orders of the Interstellar Alliance's Grand Council. Given command of an Alliance Grand Army of 500,000 soldiers, comprising units from every member race, a tradition upheld for centuries, he had anticipated that the sheer size of his force would compel the Talvax to surrender or retreat. But they had proven to be less accommodating. The Talvax had emerged on the edge of Alliance space around 2 galactic cycles ago, presenting themselves as friends interested in trade. They claimed to have found a derelict exploration vessel that had suffered severe hull breaches, possibly from an asteroid storm. The crew was lost, but the ship's data core revealed its origins. The Talvax offered to return the crew's bodies, but the vessel disintegrated while being towed, leading to their warm reception by the Alliance. Most members welcomed them with open arms, but the humans, newly joined to the Alliance, remained wary. Their concerns were dismissed by many Grand Counselors, who either overlooked the warnings or envied the Talvax's trade deals. 6 months prior, the human skepticism proved justified. The Talvax launched a devastating assault on their homeworld and several colonies, leaving few survivors. Reports indicated widespread subspace communication and power grid outages, revealing that the Talvax had sabotaged their systems. The Talvax's claims of peaceful intentions had been a cover for reconnaissance and future strikes. For systems fell before the Alliance's sluggish military could respond. Having been at peace for over a century, their forces were ill-equipped for such a war, more suited to combating pirates than full-scale warships. Once again, the humans tried to warn the Alliance, but their less advanced technology led to their advice being ignored. Even when a Talvax fleet attacked a human colony and was repelled by a smaller human fleet, the Alliance dismissed it as luck. The Alliance military lost every engagement against the Talvax, and their forces had become what humans derisively termed a parade army, well-drilled but technologically dependent and poorly trained for real combat. The High Command continued to disregard human warnings, believing their projectile weaponry was obsolete. The human forces were kept out of major operations, tasked only with defending their own worlds. The High Command insisted they needed more soldiers, ignoring the calls for better tactics. When the Talvax launched a final offensive against the Xerian homeworld, the High Command grudgingly invited the humans to join the fray. Rumors spread that the decision was driven by a need for additional numbers. The humans sent a single division of 50,000 soldiers, equipped with their own heavy weapons, vehicles, and medical units, leaving them largely self-reliant. As the largest fleet assembled by the Alliance in centuries approached the Xerian homeworld, they encountered a Talvax fleet already in orbit. The human warships positioned themselves on the extreme flank and struck the Talvax from the side. The Talvax, realizing their vulnerability, disengaged and retreated. The fleet admiral attributed the Talvax retreat to superior numbers, and the humans did not correct him. General Orin Kray watched with satisfaction as his troops disembarked in their polished armor, marching in perfect formation. However, the humans' dull green armor and their deployment of archaic weapons, including projectile guns and self-propelled artillery, puzzled him. He left them to guard the landing ships, dismissing their approach as backward. The human officer, though visibly irritated, organized his men to dig defensive positions, which Kray found perplexing. Why would they dig in if they were not under immediate threat? After his own troops were ready, General Kray led them out to engage the enemy. Imposing in their shining armor, his forces confidently marched, expecting the Talvax to flee before their overwhelming numbers. Scouts were unnecessary, as Kray relied on his hand scanners. His army soon encountered the Talvax, who fired a few shots before retreating. Kray laughed at their retreat, confident that victory was imminent. He ordered a pursuit, sending the fastest units ahead to pin down the Talvax. But everything changed in an instant. The fleeing Talvax turned and opened fire, catching the pursuing troops off guard. The battlefield erupted with explosions from hidden charges, causing chaos. The Talvax emerged from their concealed positions and flanked Kray's army with devastating energy weapons. The previously untested troops broke into disarray. Kray managed to keep a small contingent together, but panic spread among the rest as they were cut down by the Talvax's precise fire. In a desperate move, Kray ordered his remaining troops to take cover in the blast craters. The Talvax continued their relentless assault, and the humans' archaic weapons seemed to have little impact. Just when Kray thought it was the end, the battlefield erupted with the sounds of human artillery, pops, cracks, and booming explosions. Human soldiers charged forward in disciplined waves, using cover effectively and moving with a coordinated precision that astounded Kray. Their dull armor blended with the terrain, minimizing their casualties. The Talvax, unaccustomed to this kind of warfare, were thrown into confusion. Overwhelmed by the humans' relentless and multifaceted attack, they faced a stark choice: flee or face annihilation. Within a quarter hour, the Talvax were defeated, and human medics began tending to the wounded. A human officer, Colonel Ian Mercer, approached Kray, saluting in the human manner and introducing himself. Kray, overwhelmed with relief, expressed his gratitude. He inquired how the humans had known to come to their aid. Colonel Mercer explained that their commander had noticed the retreating troops and suspected something was amiss, leading him to send Mercer's unit to link up with Kray. Confused, Kray asked how Mercer had found them despite the Talvax's jamming. Mercer simply replied, "An old Terran military maxim, sir. In the absence of orders, always march to the sound of the guns." Kray reflected on this response, realizing that the human's knowledge of war was deeper than he had thought. Turning to Mercer, he said, "I need to learn more about this. Lead me to your leader." Several nearby humans laughed, but Mercer quickly stifled their amusement. "Yes, sir," he replied, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. As General Orin Kray followed Colonel Ian Mercer through the bustling camp, he couldn't help but be impressed by the humans' efficiency and discipline. The once dismissed archaic weapons were now proving their worth in a way he had not anticipated. Kray marveled at how the humans seamlessly integrated their firepower with tactical maneuvers, their old-fashioned guns working in harmony with their advanced artillery. They reached a large, fortified command tent where human officers and soldiers moved about with focused precision. The tent was a stark contrast to the sleek, high-tech command centers of the Alliance. It was practical, with maps, charts, and communication devices that seemed almost quaint but were clearly functional. Inside, General Mercer introduced Kray to Colonel Sarah Voss, the commanding officer of the human forces. Colonel Voss greeted Kray with a firm handshake and a nod of respect. Her presence radiated confidence, and her no-nonsense attitude was evident in her eyes. "General Kray, welcome," Voss said. "I understand you've had quite the introduction to our methods." Kray nodded, looking around the room at the various tactical displays and soldiers in action. "Indeed, Colonel. I must admit, your troops' performance was unexpected." Voss smiled slightly. "We've had our share of conflicts. Experience has taught us a few things about adaptability and resilience. And sometimes, the old ways still have value." Kray's curiosity was piqued. "Can you elaborate on your strategy? The way you managed to turn the tide so quickly, it was impressive." Voss gestured to a large tactical map on the wall. "Our approach is rooted in flexibility. We train for a range of scenarios, constantly adapting our tactics based on real-time intelligence. Our soldiers are drilled to respond dynamically to changing conditions on the battlefield, and we emphasize teamwork and communication." Kray observed as Voss pointed out various units on the map. "We rely on a combination of traditional infantry tactics and modern support systems. Our artillery teams provide heavy fire support while our infantry uses cover and maneuver warfare. We also prioritize maintaining clear lines of communication, even in the face of electronic warfare." The general listened intently, absorbing the details. "So, it's not just about having advanced equipment. It's about how you use it and the experience behind it." Voss nodded. "Exactly. Technology is a tool, not a crutch. A well-trained soldier with a basic weapon can sometimes outmaneuver a more advanced force if they understand their environment and adapt quickly." Kray reflected on this. The Alliance's focus had been on superior technology, often at the expense of strategic depth and adaptability. The human's success in this battle had exposed a critical flaw in his own force's approach. "I see," Kray said. Your methods are indeed effective. I must reconsider how we approach warfare. Perhaps there's more we can learn from you. Voss's eyes lit up with a hint of pride. We're always willing to share our knowledge. Cooperation and learning from each other will only make us stronger. As the conversation continued, Voss shared insights into their tactical training, emphasizing the importance of flexibility and the integration of various combat elements. Kray found himself reassessing his previous judgments about the humans and their so-called primitive methods. After their discussion, Voss invited Kray to observe a training exercise. As they stepped outside, Kray watched in awe as human soldiers executed complex maneuvers with precision and coordination. The combination of their straightforward tactics and the effective use of their weaponry painted a new picture of warfare for him. When the exercise concluded, Voss turned to Kray. We've faced many challenges, and each one has taught us something new. Our goal is to apply those lessons and remain adaptable. Kray extended his hand. Colonel, I believe I've underestimated your people. I'm eager to see how we can integrate your insights into our strategy. Voss shook his hand firmly. Glad to hear it, General. Let's work together to ensure we're better prepared for whatever comes next. As Kray returned to his command, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The humans had demonstrated that there was more to warfare than just advanced technology. It was also about adaptability, training, and the ability to learn from every engagement. The battle for the Xerian homeworld was far from over, but now, Kray was ready to face it with a new perspective and a deeper appreciation for his human allies. And as the Coalition forces prepared for the next phase of the conflict, General Orin Kray was determined to integrate the valuable lessons learned from his human counterparts into the Alliance's strategy, understanding at last that in the art of war, sometimes the most unexpected sources hold the greatest wisdom. As General Orin Kray returned to his command, he couldn't shake the feeling of urgency. The Talvax had been temporarily repelled, but the conflict was far from over. The general needed to act quickly to capitalize on the insights he had gained from Colonel Voss and her troops. The next steps required careful coordination and a rethinking of strategies that had previously seemed infallible. In his command tent, Kray gathered his senior officers and relayed the lessons learned from the humans. The room buzzed with surprise and curiosity as he outlined the need for a more adaptable approach. He emphasized the importance of integrating flexibility into their tactics and improving their coordination with human forces. Listen carefully, Kray began. We've been relying too heavily on our technological superiority without considering the full scope of battle dynamics. The humans have shown us that adaptability and practical tactics can often overcome advanced technology. We need to rethink our approach. His officers nodded, some with skepticism, others with growing enthusiasm. Kray then introduced Colonel Voss via a secure communication link. Voss shared her observations and practical advice, emphasizing the importance of combining various combat elements and maintaining flexibility. Over the next few days, the combined forces conducted joint exercises to integrate human tactics with the Alliance's advanced technology. The humans provided valuable input on maneuver warfare and field adaptability, while the Alliance contributed their technological assets and strategic resources. The exercises were intense but productive, revealing both strengths and weaknesses in their new approach. One notable improvement was the integration of human artillery tactics with Alliance shielding technologies. The humans' experience with indirect fire and field positioning allowed them to exploit gaps in the Talvax's defenses, while the Alliance's energy shields provided a protective layer against Talvax counterattacks. This synergy proved to be a game-changer, significantly enhancing their defensive and offensive capabilities. The day of the next major offensive arrived, and Kray felt a surge of cautious optimism. The Coalition forces, now better integrated and more flexible, prepared to strike at the Talvax once again. This time, they would be fighting not just with advanced technology, but with a newfound understanding of adaptability and practical tactics. As the operation commenced, the battlefield was alive with a new kind of coordination. Human and Alliance forces moved in concert, their combined strategies effectively disrupting the Talvax's formations. The humans' ability to adapt on the fly, coupled with the Alliance's technological firepower, began to turn the tide. General Kray observed the battle from a command post. noting how the Talvax struggled against the refined tactics and the relentless pressure from the newly unified forces. The humans, employing their characteristic flexibility and teamwork, executed maneuvers that caught the Talvax off guard. Despite the initial challenges, the coalition forces made significant gains. The Talvax, overwhelmed and unable to adapt quickly enough to the dynamic strategies of their opponents, began to falter. Their once dominant positions were being steadily eroded, and the tide of the battle was shifting decisively. After hours of fierce combat, the coalition forces achieved a hard-fought victory. The Talvax, recognizing the futility of further resistance, began their withdrawal. The battlefield was littered with the remnants of the conflict, but the coalition's combined efforts had proven successful. As the dust settled, General Kray and Colonel Voss met on the battlefield to review the results. Kray extended his hand with a genuine smile. "Colonel, your insights have made a profound difference. Today, we've seen what true adaptability can achieve." Voss shook his hand warmly. "Thank you, General. It was a team effort. The key is always to keep learning and evolving." Kray nodded in agreement. "I believe we've turned a corner today. The lessons we've learned will shape our future engagements and, hopefully, prevent further conflicts." The victory against the Talvax was celebrated across the coalition, and the successful integration of human and alliance tactics marked a new chapter in their alliance. The once overlooked methods of the humans had demonstrated their value, and the coalition was now stronger and more cohesive. In the aftermath, General Kray continued to work closely with human forces, ensuring that the lessons learned were not just applied in battle, but also in their ongoing strategies and training. The bond between the Alliance and the humans grew stronger, built on mutual respect and the shared goal of facing future challenges together. And as General Orin Kray reflected on the recent events, he recognized that the true strength of any force lies not only in its technology, but in its ability to adapt, learn, and grow. The humans had shown him that even the most unconventional methods could hold the key to victory, and in that realization lay a powerful lesson for all. As the coalition forces celebrated their hard-won victory over the Talvax, a sense of cautious optimism permeated the ranks. General Orin Kray and Colonel Ian Mercer continued their collaboration, refining strategies and enhancing their combined operational capabilities. The alliance between the humans and the Alliance seemed stronger than ever, and the future looked promising. However, amidst the celebrations, a series of encrypted messages began to surface, intercepted by the Coalition's intelligence network. These messages hinted at a deeper, more troubling conspiracy. The messages, decoded through intense analysis, revealed a disturbing revelation. The Talvax invasion was not merely an independent act of aggression, but part of a far grander scheme orchestrated by an external force. General Kray, now more attuned to the nuances of interstellar conflict thanks to his experiences with the humans, took a keen interest in the intelligence reports. The encrypted communications pointed to a shadowy organization known only as the Eclipse Syndicate, a name that was unfamiliar to the majority of the coalition leaders. This group appeared to have been manipulating events from behind the scenes, using the Talvax as a pawn to achieve their own ends. The message threads suggested that the Eclipse Syndicate had engineered the Talvax's initial overtures of friendship as a smokescreen. Their ultimate goal was to destabilize the coalition by inciting conflict, testing its vulnerabilities, and weakening it for a much larger, more sinister objective. The Syndicate's motives remained obscured, but their ability to influence and manipulate had become alarmingly clear. General Kray convened an emergency meeting with Colonel Mercer and key members of the coalition's high command. The atmosphere was tense as they reviewed the evidence and debated the implications. The possibility of an unseen enemy pulling the strings added a new layer of complexity to their situation. Colonel Mercer, his expression grim, said, "If the Eclipse Syndicate is behind this, it means our previous battles were only part of their larger plan. We need to uncover their true intentions and prepare for what comes next." Kray nodded. "Agreed. But we must act carefully. We've just begun to rebuild and strengthen our forces. Rushing into action without understanding the full scope of the threat could be disastrous." The coalition's intelligence teams worked tirelessly to trace the origins and connections of the Eclipse Syndicate. Their efforts led to a shocking discovery. the Syndicate had infiltrated several high-ranking positions within the Coalition itself, manipulating key decisions and sowing discord among member races. The Syndicate's influence was deeper and more pervasive than anyone had anticipated. With this new information, Kray and Mercer orchestrated a series of covert operations to root out the Syndicate's operatives. The effort required delicate maneuvering and careful coordination, but they gradually began to expose and neutralize the infiltrators. The twist came when a high-level Coalition official, someone Kray had trusted implicitly, was revealed as a key figure within the Eclipse Syndicate. This official, the Alliance's chief strategist, had been guiding military decisions in ways that inadvertently played into the Syndicate's hands. The betrayal was staggering, shattering the trust within the Coalition. In a dramatic confrontation, General Kray and Colonel Mercer faced the traitor. The official, unmasked and defiant, revealed the true extent of the Eclipse Syndicate's plans. Their ultimate goal was to create a chaotic environment in which they could seize control of crucial strategic resources and reshape the galaxy's power structure. With the traitor's revelations, Kray and Mercer realized that their victory over the Talvax was just a temporary setback for the Syndicate, not a final resolution. The Coalition now faced the daunting task of uniting against a hidden adversary with deep-rooted influence. In a climactic operation, the Coalition forces, bolstered by human tactical expertise and the renewed unity of its members, launched a decisive strike against the Eclipse Syndicate's hidden stronghold. The battle was intense, with the Coalition forces confronting not only the Syndicate's operatives, but also the pervasive sense of betrayal that had marred their recent successes. As the final confrontation unfolded, it became clear that the true enemy was not just the Syndicate's forces, but the deep-seated corruption and manipulation they had sown within the Coalition. The battle tested the Coalition's resolve and unity, but with Kray and Mercer's leadership, they managed to dismantle the Syndicate's operations and expose their plots. The aftermath of the conflict left the Coalition scarred but resilient. The betrayal had been a harsh lesson, but it also forged a new era of vigilance and cooperation. The Coalition had survived the insidious threat of the Eclipse Syndicate and emerged stronger, their alliance with the humans now more crucial than ever. As General Orin Kray and Colonel Ian Mercer stood together, reflecting on the tumultuous journey they had endured, they understood that the galaxy was a place of shifting alliances and hidden dangers. Their victory was a testament to their adaptability and resolve, but it was also a reminder of the ever-present need to remain vigilant against unseen foes.